For 25 years, he had solved the most complex homicide cases. Detective Sergeant Robert Martinez had caught child killers and investigated domestic violence cases. But one mistake he made on a case had ended his career. Now at 54, he was driving children to school for $15 an hour. The kids called him Mr. Bob. But that morning, when he saw the bruises on little Emma's arm in his school bus, his 25 years of detective instincts came roaring back to life. Welcome to the Human Stories. Before we continue this powerful story of justice, sacrifice, and the instinct to protect children, tell me in the comments what city you're watching from today. And if you believe stories like this deserve to be heard, hit that subscribe button and help us honor those who serve their community but have been forgotten by society. In the suburbs of Phoenix, Arizona, the small yellow school bus slowly made its way through the residential streets in the early morning hours. It was 7:15 a.m. Children were boarding one by one, backpacks on, sleepy-eyed, caught up in the morning rush. Behind the wheel sat 54-year-old Robert Martinez, graying hair, tired eyes, but always a gentle demeanor toward the children. "Good morning, Mr. Bob," the children would say as they boarded. "Good morning, kids," Robert would reply. Then he would quietly head toward the school. The children only knew him as their bus driver. He picked them up in the morning and dropped them off in the afternoon. Kind, reliable, not very talkative, but someone who loved children. None of them knew his past. But Robert Martinez's past was very different. He had graduated from the Phoenix Police Academy in 1997. Young, idealistic, with a strong sense of justice. First assignment, Phoenix Police Department, Patrol Division. Then he moved to the Detective Bureau, spending 25 years solving the city's darkest cases. He specialized in child homicides and domestic violence cases. He would arrest husbands who beat their wives, bring parents who abused their children to justice. His colleagues called him the Child Protector because he volunteered for every case involving children. His biggest success came in 2018. He had caught a gang that was systematically kidnapping children in Phoenix. 6 months of surveillance, undercover investigation, countless hours of surveillance work. In the end, he brought down a 12-person operation and reunited 15 children with their families. That day, he was featured in the media as a hero cop. But everything changed in 2020. That year, he was working on a domestic violence case. A 7-year-old girl named Sophia was complaining about her father's violence. The mother had filed a report. There were physical marks on the child. It was a clear and obvious case. But Robert was extremely busy during that period. He had 15 different cases in his hands, working day and night shifts. He couldn't properly investigate Sophia's case either. He conducted a superficial investigation, didn't gather all the evidence properly. The father hired a good lawyer and won the case. 2 weeks later, Sophia was rushed to the hospital. Severe abuse. A week later, they lost her. That day, Robert's world collapsed. If he had worked more carefully, if he had investigated the case thoroughly, Sophia would be alive now. Guilt began to consume him. The press made it a big story. Headlines read, "Child dies due to police negligence. An investigation was opened." Technically, he wasn't at fault, but he felt responsible in his conscience. In 2022, he used his early retirement option. His pension was $2,400 a month. Rent in Phoenix was $800. He needed to work. While looking for a job, he saw a school bus driver posting $15 an hour, $600 extra income per month. But more importantly, he would be with children again. Maybe this way he could make up for Sophia. The first days were very difficult. Sitting behind the wheel, he thought about Sophia. Looking at each child, he saw her face. But gradually, he began to heal. The children trusted him, called him Mr. Bob. This was good for him. 3 years passed like this. Robert would pick up the children in the morning and drop them off at home in the afternoon. He had become a reliable, quiet driver who loved children. He thought he had left his past behind. But that Tuesday morning changed everything. At 7:45 a.m., he came to the last stop to pick up Emma. Emma was 8 years old, smart, cheerful girl. Every morning she would board the bus happily. But that morning was different. The moment Emma quietly boarded, Robert noticed 25 years of police experience kicked in. There was sadness on the child's face. Her eyes were fearful. She was trying to hide her left arm. "Good morning, Emma," Robert said, looking through the rearview mirror. "Good morning, Mr. Bob," Emma said in a low voice. Robert began to look carefully. Emma had purple marks on her arm. fingerprint shaped. There was also slight swelling on her face. These weren't injuries from a child falling. These were signs of violence. For 25 years, he had seen thousands of child abuse cases. He knew these signs very well. Emma was being abused. When they arrived at school, while the other children were getting off, Emma stayed last. "Emma," Robert said gently, "does your arm hurt?" Emma was startled. "No, Mr. Bob, I just fell." "How did you fall?" "Down the stairs." Voice trembling, eyes avoiding, classic abuse victim behavior. "Emma, you can talk to me. I can protect you." Emma looked with tears in her eyes. "Daddy gets mad. He told me not to tell anyone." That moment, the old cop inside Robert awakened. This child had to be protected. He couldn't protect Sophia, but he could protect Emma. That evening, when dropping Emma off at home after school, he observed carefully. Her father was waiting at the apartment entrance. A stocky, angry-looking man. Emma tensed with fear when she saw him. "You're late," the man shouted. He pulled Emma's ear. "Hurry up." Robert saw everything. This man was abusing his daughter. But what could he do now? He was no longer a police officer. He had no authority. That night at home, he thought he could call his old colleague, Sergeant Williams. But evidence was needed. Suspicion alone wasn't enough. How would he approach this situation? The next morning, Emma quietly boarded again. This time there were marks on her right cheek. Slap marks. "Emma," Robert said, "what happened last night?" "Nothing, Mr. Bob," but her voice was barely audible. "Emma, look, I've helped many children. I can help you too, but you need to tell the truth." Emma remained silent for a long time. Then she spoke in a whisper. "When Daddy drinks, he gets angry at me. He says I'm a bad child because Mommy left me and went away. Then he hits me." Robert's heart ached. Sophia's story was being repeated. "How long has this been going on, Emma?" "Since Mommy left, 6 months." Robert had made his decision. He would protect this child. Police officer or not, this was his duty. That day, during lunch break, he called his old friend Sergeant Williams. "Williams, buddy, I need your help." "Robert, how are you? We missed you." "I'm fine, but there's an urgent situation, child abuse case." He met with Williams. Robert explained the situation. He showed Emma's photos. He had secretly taken them with his phone. Williams examined them. "Robert, this is a clear case of abuse, but we need a report, we need witnesses. The child's statement is essential." "How are we going to do this?" "You talk to the child, gain her trust, then we take over." The next day, Robert had a longer conversation with Emma. He gave her confidence, told her not to be afraid. Emma slowly began to open up. "Mr. Bob, Daddy says if I tell anyone, he'll give me back since he adopted me." "Emma, he's trying to scare you. You're his daughter. You can't go anywhere. But if he hurts you, we'll stop him." "Really?" "Really. I will protect you." That day after school, Robert spoke with Emma's teacher, Mrs. Johnson, who had kept Emma at school. He explained the situation. Mrs. Johnson said she had also been suspicious. "The child has changed a lot in the last few weeks. Quiet, fearful, inattentive in class." "So what can we do?" "Let's talk to the principal. Social services should get involved." The next day, the principal, social service specialist, and Sergeant Williams came together. They made a plan. Emma would give an official statement, a medical report would be issued, and the father would be taken into custody. But the hardest part was convincing Emma. The child was still afraid. "Emma," Robert said, "I'm going to tell you something. I used to be a police officer. For 25 years, I protected children. Now I'm retired, but I can still protect you. You just have to trust me." Emma looked with big eyes. "Were you really a police officer, Mr. Bob?" "Yes, and I became a police officer to protect children like you." "So what will Daddy do to me now?" "Nothing. He won't touch you anymore. I promise." That day, Emma courageously gave her statement. A medical report was issued. The father was taken into custody. Emma was temporarily placed with her aunt. During the trial process, Robert stood by Emma. His old colleagues were addressing him as Detective Martinez again. The past had returned. 6 months later, the case was concluded. The father received a prison sentence. Emma began living safely with her aunt. That day outside the courthouse, Emma hugged Robert. Mr. Bob, you saved me. No, Emma, you saved yourself. You were brave. So now will you be a bus driver again? Robert smiled. I'll be both a bus driver and a police officer, because I learned that real police officers never retire. A year later, Robert received an offer from the police department. As a consultant for the Child Protection Unit, part-time in addition to his pension, he accepted. Now he's a bus driver 3 days a week, police consultant 2 days. Most importantly, he had eased Sophia's pain by saving Emma. Emma still rides his bus. Now she's a cheerful, happy child. Every morning when she says, "Good morning, Mr. Bob," she's happy. "Mr. Bob," she said one day, "you're a real hero." "No, Emma," Robert said. "Real heroes are children like you who ask for help, because there's no age limit for being brave." Emma smiled. So did Robert. Now he carried hope for the future, not the pain of the past. That evening at home, he looked at Sophia's photo. "I couldn't protect you, but because of you, I can protect other children," he said. "Rest in peace, little angel." The impact of Robert's return to child protection work spread beyond just Emma's case. Within a year of becoming a consultant, he had helped establish new protocols for identifying and reporting suspected child abuse cases. His program trained school bus drivers, teachers, and other school personnel to recognize warning signs. Children spend hours every day with people who aren't their parents, Robert would explain during training sessions. Bus drivers, teachers, coaches, cafeteria workers, we're all part of a network that can protect kids, but only if we know what to look for and have the courage to act. The program, nicknamed Operation Safe Ride, became a model for other school districts across Arizona. Robert found himself traveling to other cities, sharing his story and training other professionals. Each time he told his story, he made sure to honor Sophia's memory while celebrating Emma's courage. 6 months after Emma's father was convicted, Robert received a letter that would change his perspective forever. It was from Sophia's mother, Maria. "Dear Detective Martinez," it began, "I know you blame yourself for what happened to my Sophia. I want you to know that I never blamed you. The system failed her, not just one person. But I also want you to know that what you did for Emma gives Sophia's death meaning. You turned your pain into protection for another child. Thank you for not giving up on children, even when the system gave up on you." Robert kept that letter in his wallet, next to a photo of Emma smiling on the school bus. The transformation in Robert was evident to everyone around him. Fellow bus drivers noticed that he no longer just drove his route. He observed, he cared, he intervened when necessary. Parents began specifically requesting that their children ride Mr. Bob's bus because they knew their kids would be safe. One parent, Jennifer Walsh, whose son rode Robert's bus, said it best, "There's something different about Mr. Bob. My son tells me that he makes all the kids feel safe, like he's watching out for them. I didn't know he used to be a police officer, but I could tell he was someone who cared about protecting children." 2 years after Emma's rescue, Robert was honored by the Phoenix Police Department with their Distinguished Service Award. The ceremony was held at the same auditorium where he had once been investigated for Sophia's case. This time, the headlines read, "Hero Bus Driver Saves Child, Transforms System." Emma was there that day, now 10 years old and thriving in her new home with her aunt. When Robert was called to the stage to receive his award, Emma stood up and started clapping. Soon, the entire auditorium was on their feet. "This award isn't mine," Robert said into the microphone. "It belongs to every child who has the courage to speak up, every adult who takes the time to listen, and every community that chooses to protect its most vulnerable members. I failed once, and a beautiful little girl named Sophia paid the price. But Sophia's memory taught me that our mistakes don't define us. What we do after our mistakes is what truly matters." After the ceremony, as Robert walked to his bus to drive the afternoon route, Emma ran up to him. "Mr. Bob," she said, "I want to be a police officer when I grow up, just like you." Robert knelt down to her eye level. "Emma, you already are protecting people. Every time you had the courage to tell the truth, every time you trusted me to help you, you were doing what police officers do, making your community safer." As Robert started the bus that afternoon, he looked in his rearview mirror at the children settling into their seats. Each face reminded him of why he had become a police officer in the first place. Not for the badge, not for the authority, but for moments like these when an adult's willingness to care could make all the difference in a child's life. The route was the same one he had driven for 3 years, but everything was different now. He wasn't just driving a bus, he was transporting precious cargo, and every mile was a mission to keep them safe. So now I ask you, have you ever met someone who turned their past mistakes into present-day protection for others? Someone who fell down but got back up to serve their community again? Share their story in the comments, because here at The Human Stories, we believe that true protectors never really retire. They just change the way they serve. Thank you for watching. If this story touched you, subscribe and share it with someone who respects those who dedicate their lives to protecting children. We'll see you in the next story, and until then, remember, real guardians never abandon their watch. They just change who they're watching over.